a little bit. Give them the gift. I want them to see the special. But like now they have a pretty good sense of what you went through as a child. I mean, they have 1% of it. They have a pretty good sense you've turned this around, which we'll talk about in a little bit too, and where your life is now and the lessons you've learned. But like, let's go there just for a second. So
that moment?
Tell them what happens.
Oh my God. So so I fell down the stairs getting to my kid at 2 a.m. I just come back off the road. I was so tired. I was like sleepwalking. Mm-hmm. My baby's crying. And as a mom, you know, you're just like, I gotta get to my baby. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I fell down the stairs, broke my ankle in 4 places. And I didn't even know it at the time. I thought I could just get up. So I called my husband. I was like, babe, get over here, help me. And he's like, oh, you can't get up. You're broken, homie. So I get into the ambulance to put fentanyl, you know, all these drugs. They straighten me out. But before they straighten my leg out, they give me ketamine. And I've never done. Have you ever done it?
I have. It's pretty amazing.
You've done the therapeutic kind.
Yes.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because what they did is they give you enough to dissociate you so that you don't remember it. And apparently it's a terrifying amount that they gave me. Oh. Because that's what they're like. Usually people are screaming when they give this to you. But Christina, you were sitting there smiling the whole time. So anyway, so they give me this ketamine and I have this wild trip basically. And the crazy part is that happens in real life. And I'm looking for an end to my special. And I was like, oh, that's the end of the special. Yeah. That's the end of the special because it was my realization that everything that had happened to me, I don't buy this that it happens for a reason. I hate that. That's Pollyanna nonsense. But I think if you attribute meaning to tragedy, attribute deliberately, then it's redemptive. And like also this whole ride of just trying to become a successful comedian. And then I have my children. And then you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like I saw my kids' faces literally and you're not gonna make me cry. I just talking about it. You know, when you're like, oh, this is it. This is all that matters. Like, all this other stuff can go away tomorrow. And my kids don't care that I'm famous. They don't give a shit. And, like, they're the only things that really matter. My husband, you know, the unit. Yeah. Now you're getting me cry, man. But I often think back to that ketamine trip when I'm getting hung up on nonsense, like show business. And I'll be like, oh, but it doesn't matter. This is what I learned. Like it matters. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be broke tomorrow. I don't want it to all go away tomorrow, but I'm not going to stress out. Right. Been there, dude.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to cling like I did. Because didn't you find there was a time in your career where it's all you cared about?
Yeah. It's a really difficult thing to teach because you should have goals and outcomes, and it's what's made us successful when we didn't have some. Yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of letting go of an outcome and letting things come as they might that actually brings us the most joy, because the things that are the greatest blessings in life aren't things we have to force through force, like our families. They're the things that, you know, that are the greatest blessings are our children and our families, and yet you still want to be able to provide for them and do significant things. But I also think you said something, I want you to stay on that story, is that it's not the events of our lives that define us, it's the meaning we attach to the event. And if you can attach the right meaning to something, or a meaning that serves you, or change the meaning, you can change how you feel about it and ultimately change how your life works. And it feels to me like almost in that trip you were on that the meanings shifted a little bit for you.
Yeah, because I saw my parents and I was like, I can see this person as a big bad villain and I'm the little girl. Or, hey, what can I glean? What's the lesson here? Because I'm the mom now. And you see your broken parents as toddlers. I really see them as children now who just didn't get enough love, who didn't get what I didn't get too, but what I'm able to give my kids now. So they're just flawed people, and everybody walking around. You know, I don't get mad at people nearly as much as I used to, because you're like, oh, you just didn't get love. Like, oh, your mommy, your daddy.
But you actually on that trip, like, thanked your mom and your dad.
I did.
Tell them that a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though I want them to see it.
Yeah, you have to see the bit for it to make total sense. But I end up thanking them and forgiving them in the trip. And, you know, I think for some reason I'm thinking about my mom's fur coats, because She hoarded like jewelry and like fine items. I think she was convinced that World War III was coming soon, and I have to trade these things to get across the border. You're going to need, she wouldn't put her money in one bank. It was in several, like that kind of nutty stuff. But now that I'm wealthy, and I always was like rejecting wealth. I was always like, rich people are bad.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's what I was raised believing. Yeah.
And it's nonsense, because guess what? Poor people are bad too.
It's the same deal.
And actually, rich people can do really good things to help a lot of other people. And your wealth is a blessing on many, many people. Yeah. So anyway, the fur coat thing too, I was like, yeah, what's so bad about owning a fur coat? It doesn't make you a bad person.
Right. It doesn't.
Unless it's the only thing you care about.
Yeah, I'm watching you right now. I still think you're working through thinking about what all those events of your life meant, just as I'm watching you.
Oh, yeah.
I had a really huge blessing happen that I was with my dad when he died. I was in the room with him. And it's weird that all this is going here today with you and me. But when I was with my dad in the room, I got my version of the ketamine trip to some extent, because when I was with him, I was literally holding his hand just a little while before he passed away. But because he wasn't able to talk, and it was actually wonderful to this extent. I got to just look at him. Like, you don't, even with your parents, you have a dynamic. There's like this thing you do with people in your life. You do it with Tom. I do it with my wife. We do it with our kids. There's just like this pattern of how we kind of just interact with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done this with your kids or with Tom. Might be different with Tom, but you ever just watch your kids sleeping?
Oh my God, like every night.
Right? It's different. You see them differently.
Yeah.
And even your spouse, if you just see them sleeping, it's just different. They're not talking. They're not being them. They're just them.
Yeah.
And my dad, I had these hours with him. It was just him. And I got to thinking about, I got to think about him as a little boy. This is a man whose life's about to end, kind of like what you've done. And he's an old man now. And I remember him when he wasn't an old man. I remember him when he looked like my age, right? I remember when he was even younger than that. And I could go back and think of him. I wonder, my dad at 10, my dad at 5, my dad at 2. And there's this love you can have even for someone who didn't treat you perfectly the whole time, that you have this sympathy or this empathy for them. And I just think he's a man that had a life, and he did his best to live it his best way. And then I start thinking about myself. I will be him.
Yeah.
What do I want when I'm him, when I'm there? Who do I want to have achieved? Who do I want to have helped? What do I want to have felt?
Yeah.
What emotions do I want to have had? What memories do I want? We're off air. You're talking about taking your kids to, if you're blessed enough that you could take them somewhere on a vacation, and like, being in that moment with my dad gave me a different meaning to him, gave my life a different meaning. And that's just a real powerful thing for everybody listening to this, is like, all the events, maybe you should evaluate the things that don't serve you. What do they mean? What did your divorce really mean? Right? What did this experience what did having your children really mean? What did this person who hurt you, what did it really mean? If you can change the meaning, you can really ultimately change how you feel, and then you'll take different actions in your life. And when my dad passed, I literally, you're doing this. I thought, oddly, I'm going to honor my dad. I'm going to talk about him more. I'm going to talk about what I learned from him. I'll talk about how he hurt me. Put it in my book. It's in my book. All my speeches lately involve my dad. And in a very beautiful way, you honored your mom in that special, and your dad. You started out by telling the truth, right? But you honored him. Did it ever dawn on you that you were doing that?
No.
Yeah.
It's unconscious. No. I think
look at you right now, and it's dawning on you.
No, because I'm like, oh yeah, I guess no, because like when you create something, it's all really unconscious. You just kind of throw stuff out, and then you hope there's a through line, and like, what's that going to be? And what I really wanted to express as well as honoring, I think, now that you mention it, is just that I don't hate you, man. I ain't mad at you. Because the anger, we all go through it. And like, also one of my pet peeves about the self-help movement is like, just be happy. Just be happy. It's like, look for the joy. It's like, no. And no. Sometimes the suffering, and you did a great podcast about this recently, about the suffering that must come in order to have the joy.
Yes.
The suffering. And I just didn't want to leave people thinking like I'm this rageful adolescent, because I'm not mad at them anymore. Because once you become a parent, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
Me too. I'm mad at my dad sometimes.
Still. Yeah, but some days,
I'll think of something. I'm like, I can't believe he did that to me in some situation. But my overall view of him isn't that way. My overall meaning. No. Why do you think, by the way, I want to ask you some stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
It seems to me that you have a great marriage. It's been a long one.
Yeah.
Right? And I watch you talk about, I watch stuff close. I'm weird. But I watch you talk about Tom. And after all this time, like you really love him. Like you really love him. And I love the jokes you make about, football and food and sex and all that. It's hilarious, right? But like you really love him. And you seem to be like an unbelievably dedicated mother. So you come from a crappy marriage of your parents. Yeah. You come from crappy parenting from your parents. Yeah. Yet you've become the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Did you think this is what I don't want to be?
Yeah. And I also think it's not healthy who I am, actually, because I think my shrink would be like, you're just doing the opposite of what they are. Like I'm living in reaction to. So like thankfully I made wise choices and I've made good choices, but like maybe this is overshooting. Am I too perfect? Am I trying to be too perfect? I don't know, but yeah, part of that is going like, why get multiple divorces? Because guess what? Most of the time, both my parents ended up marrying some version of the first one.
Yeah, that's the truth. You're like, same person in a different body. Yeah. That's what most people date and do in their life.
Yeah. Yes. So you guys didn't do any work in between these marriages because nobody went to therapy. So like, why trade up? Why lose half your money? And then
how long have you been in therapy?
12 years.
And do you think it's really helped you? Because I think a lot of people out there think, I'm not going to talk to somebody because it's embarrassing or there's a stigma or what the heck is some other normal human being going to help me out with my stuff with? But it's worked for you, right?
Yeah. Well, is it embarrassing? Yeah. Is there a stigma? Absolutely. Will people think you're nuts? Sure. Will your family think you're a complete idiot? And will people talk crap to you about it? Yeah. Who cares? They're not in my head. F them. And that's another thing you get in therapy is you go like, oh, wait, why am I living? Because another thing on my ketamine trip taught me is that this is it, bro. This is it. And I'm 46. So I'm on the other end of the hill now. So it's like, when are you going to start living? When are you gonna do it for you? And like a good therapist knows the map. Your friend doesn't know the map out of your own nonsense. Yeah. They know the map. Let the captain take you.
I agree.
Right?
Totally. I also think that's why I like listening to something like this. This is a form of therapy for people today. Like you're helping. I think you kind of know you are too. I'm watching you. Like you're helping millions of people like work through some stuff. And like it may not be the same situation, but it can apply. The thing I'm wondering too, like, so now the other part of you is you become this like incredibly successful person and you're married to an incredibly successful person. It sounds like you guys are great parents. I've asked this a lot on my show because the answers vary. Is it worth it? Like, you're well known now. Like you're well known, your show. There's a lot that comes with all that too, though, right? There's like a momentum you don't want to lose. Yeah. Do you worry like this could go away? And what's it like to now be real too? What's it like to now be on the other side? All these years of cracking open champagne, I got $1,500 a week from Chelsea Handler, right? All the years of you're making nothing in stand up, nothing, right? Yeah. And then. You just, you get, it's just life is happening. And like, you're like, well, I'm 30 now and I'm 35 now and I'm blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, I'm wondering, like, now that you're kind of on the other side of it, is it worth it? And do you worry about losing it? Yeah.
Is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, I heard Marianne Williamson say this. Being a winner that's a better problem to have than not being a winner. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. I got to stay successful. Great. What a great problem to have.
Right.
And like I remember when I wasn't successful and I didn't like that feeling way more.
Me too.
So the thing of like, how can we keep this up? Like, it won't last forever. That's the nature of my business. That's okay. We're making it rain now. We're putting it away now. I'm investing. And when everyone's sick and tired of me, I'll go away. And it'll be
such true perspective.
Yeah, like, okay.
Yep.
But I love it, man. Listen, I suffered for many years to get here. My rise was slow and steady. I did not have the overnight thing, so that was a blessing.
Do you ever think about quitting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weekly. Well, you're a stand-up comedian. It's the hardest. It's the worst. It's like literally you're the best or the worst. You're the best or the worst. It's the push-pull, right? That's why I'm so sickly charged by it, because it's your alcoholic parent. It's your borderline mom. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. So I'm wired for this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't want to do it. Forget it. I'm just going to stay home forever. I'm going to stay in Texas and just, fish with my kids all. And then I get an itchy beehole, and then I got to go tell jokes again. Speaking of itchy beeholes, just so we do a little bit of something in the special, just tell them what a Milwaukee milkshake is. Tell them. Okay, what's the bit now? I got to remember.
Do you remember?
So
you're using
I'm sitting on the toilet.
Yeah. You're doing number 2.
I'm driving. Okay, I'm taking a dump with my toddler sitting on my lap. Yeah. Bonus points if you breastfeed at the same time. That's the
Come on,
that's
man.
the Milwaukee milkshake.
Come on,
yeah.
You got a dog staring you in the eyes.
Dog staring at me.
A baby on your lap. You're breastfeeding.
Yep.
And that's the
bonus.
bonus.
That's how I take a dump.
Come on, that's legit right there. To me,
that's the truth, right?
It's the truth. And then the part. So let me tell you something. My wife doesn't get comedy.
Yeah.
So we watch all these specials. I'm like, because I love it, and I take her to different clubs. And I mean, she didn't even think. Bless his heart. I took her to Norm Macdonald, and I'm crying laughing, and she's like, I just don't get it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
But you, the deal where like the bit you do on where like, okay, I just pull my sweatpants down now when we're having sex. I mean, she was legitimately falling off the couch, crying, laughing. Okay. And I'm like, I don't know what you're laughing at, because none of that. You don't relate to any of this, just so you know. But like. I'm not trying to sell everybody on seeing your stuff, but I just think it's like, I think it's just absolutely the best. I think you're my favorite.
Gosh.
You really are my favorite.
I can't handle these compliments.
I know, you don't handle them very well.
I don't. Well, you should come and see me perform.
I want to do that.
I'll give you guys some free tickets.
Well that'd be good, because I can't afford those things. So. I got a couple more things I want to ask you about.
Yeah, I'm just writing it down so I don't forget.
Okay, yeah, please invite me. I want to know a little bit about how you are now as like a mom. So first off, are you done having kids? Number one. And then like, do you allow yourself to like enjoy it? Or are you always like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I gotta be honest with you, when I was raising my kids, I was constantly like, I didn't do that right. I screwed that up. She's a really good mom. I'm like a half-assed dad. Like, I'm always like not even really good enough at it in my own mind now. Now mine are leaving me, but I'm curious as to what kind of a mom you are now. Yeah, so I overcorrect a lot. I don't have what looks healthy at all. Like, what do you mean? Like, because I grew up so severely weird in the sense like, okay, we're foreigners, we're Hungarians, and then I'm living alone with my borderline mom, or I'm living alone with my dad. Wow. And so like, I'm literally like, I remember watching movies with my husband and having to ask him, why did that person react that way in that movie? Like, what feeling is that? Really? Yeah. And he's like, well, it's because she was mad. And I was like, like I didn't understand a lot of dynamics. So I've actually had to learn to identify right feelings. And like, I sound like a sociopath, but I'm not. It's just that I have a hard time feeling feelings. Yeah, and you have no reference point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I ask my husband a lot, like, is this normal? Like, how did you guys do this growing up? So I check in with him a lot about the kids. Like right now, kids are cursing a lot. And I'm like, I probably shouldn't let them say the F word. That's not good. Right. So I lied. I told my little one that the word "dorn it" is the worst word in the English language. Dorn it. Yeah. And I'm like, dorn it. Anyway, I overcorrect. I'm done having kids. I'm too old to have more. And I'm too exhausted. But yeah, I worry that I'm doing it wrong every day. I know what I want to teach them. I have thought about that. You have. Like, what's the goal, dude? Is it to make you a good student? Hell no. We all know that. The most successful people, they're not straight A students. Yep. And especially in today's world with academia, like, it's a different environment. Yep. So, like... What do you want them to have? Feel your feelings. Let's try that, first and foremost. Resilience. You get up. I just started my 6-year-old skateboarding. Take him down to the skateboard park.
because he's a wild man. And I'm like, let's put that into something, like find what you're good at. Forget what you're not good at.
Yep.
I wish someone had told me earlier, my parents had the wherewithal to be like, hey, you're not good at that. Don't worry. You're not going to be an opera singer. You're not going to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
F it. Why was I trying so hard to do stuff I couldn't do?
Really good advice. I agree with you.
God.
There's so much stuff I'm not good at. I wish they would have just checked the box for me early. I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to work with my hands on cars. Like, I'm not mechanical at all. And I can't do math and science and none of that stuff. So, like, that's all off the box. My scope is pretty limited. You might as well get pretty good at this stuff over here.
Yeah, you get 2 or 3 things.
Yep, I agree with you. I want my kids to be super confident. But have humility. For me, it's a little different for you. The confidence, some of their confidence comes through their faith to some extent. I want them to believe that. But the biggest thing is I also want them to be really good communicators.
Yeah, that's
I think
important.
It's hard to get through life if you can't communicate. I don't think it has to be spoken word. It could be written word, but to be able to express themselves. You said feel things. I agree with that, but then also be able to express it.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
This
independent
needs to be...
thinking. I think that's the rarest thing on the planet right now, don't you? With all the programming.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
And the scariest part is that this younger generation who is endorsing the policing of other people's thinking and speaking, talk about dangerous stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
They don't even know what they're blowing apart right now.
Yep.
They're so indoctrinated. So, thinking.
Your industry is the most under attack for that right now.
Whew,
right? It's like independent thought and expression. True?
Is it ever?
Yeah.
But can I tell you, I think we're coming to the end of it. I sense that there's enough comedians pushing back.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for Netflix standing behind Dave Chappelle. Because if Chappelle goes down,
really,
we all go down. I think. Yeah.
Really,
he's the head of the committee, man.
There's a hierarchy. I didn't know that.
Oh, Dave Chappelle's. There's a few big ones, but right. Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, I certainly hear those names a lot lately. I heard Rogan's going to start a podcast. That'd be awesome. I bet he'd be pretty good at it.
You should try that out. He's a clever guy.
Yeah.
He adapts.
What advice? Let's go through a couple things last. I'm enjoying today so much. I don't want to end. That's why we're going long.
You don't have to.
What advice would you give to somebody right now who's like, hey, me or my child are in a dark place. I'm not happy with my own life, or I've got a child who's really struggling with just dark, unhappy, why should I do anything type thoughts.
The teenager?
Yeah, anybody. It could be a person listening to this too, just themselves. They're 33 years old. They're a mom with 2 kids.
Oy.
And they're like, I'm not as happy as I thought I would be. And I'm just not feeling like I want to feel. That's a hard question, but I'm wondering what your answer would be.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, for the teenager, I mean, really at that age, all I wanted was for someone to put their arm around me and go, what is it? What is it?
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's going on? Are you all right? Yeah. Because I think that's just what they want, is to be heard and seen. And right? Wouldn't you have loved it if some adult?
Thought about that exact scenario, Christina, a lot. Wish someone would have just said, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Everything all right? And it'll be okay.
Oh, and high school doesn't last forever, and you'll be 18, you'll get out of this house, and you'll go on.
Man, I do wish that.
Yeah. Or also what I really resented as a teenager when I was like goth and weird is like, oh, you think you know everything. Oh, you think you're so smart. Like the anger projected at me instead of like, something's wrong. I think I sense something's wrong. Are you okay? Empathy, kindness, love.
Yeah.
Would have been better received.
Agreed. What about to the person, the grown-up?
The older one?
Yeah.
Man, get your ass into therapy. And especially now. I mean, I know you do ads. I don't know if Talkspace is one. I'm not going to plug anybody, but it's so accessible. And it's on such a scale. Yeah. It's not just for elite, bougie people in Beverly Hills. It's for everybody.
Yep.
You just have to talk. Don't hide. Don't isolate. That's what you want to do when you're depressed, is right? Isolate, eat your feelings, whatever your feelings. But the dark, if it's really dark, man.
Talk to someone, right?
Someone
like
qualified.
Even if you have a good friend that you can say, can I just tell you what's going on? And oftentimes for me, just talking out loud and hearing myself think out loud is almost as valuable as what any therapist would say back to me. Not as valuable. You should go see a therapist. But if you're not going to do that, just talking, even like this today.
Yeah.
I kind of said some things today. I'm surprised they came out of me. Did you at all?
Yeah, no, I didn't think we'd go this deep.
Yeah, I didn't
think we'd go this deep. I like it though.
Me too. And I said some stuff, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to think that through a little bit more after we're done today. A couple things that I said.
Are you going to edit it out?
No,
is it that or like?
I'm not taking anything out of here. Yeah. I feel like, I think it's super rare that two people who outwardly appear to be successful, whether we are or we aren't, right? Like, just like have an hour or two that go, man, I went through this, I went through that. This is how I did it. That's what I did. It's like a very rare thing. What we're doing right now, and I don't mean to be rude. You've got an unbelievable podcast. Joe does. I was kidding. It is unbelievably rare that two people that have outward success of some type go, hey, man, let's just keep it real for an hour. Right? Here's how screwed up I was. Here's what I used to think. This is what I did. Because for me,
I know.
Let me say something. You know what my 14-year-old butt could have really used, or my 22-year-old butt, to listen to this today?
Seriously.
If I were driving right now and I had a 14-year-old be like, just listen. It's going to be, it turns out everything's going to be okay if you do some of this stuff. Like, had I had this right here today, what you and I are doing, I'd have went, wow, I'm not alone. I'm not totally crazy. Turns out other people are hurting too. Other people don't come from perfect houses. Other people struggle with their thoughts. Other people have pain. And there's a couple things they did to work through it. And guess what? Both of them have produced pretty cool marriages, pretty cool families, pretty cool influence in their life. So to me, that's incredibly valuable what you're doing here today. And I don't know, I've heard a lot of your stuff. I've never heard you talk about any of this stuff before.
Really?
On something like this. So I've heard you joke about it.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard you talk about it in depth like this before. So I'm like really, really grateful for it.
Yeah, maybe I should start talking about it again. I did for a minute and then I got, I don't know, I got over it. I think I got like... You know, where you're just like, I don't know, I'm done talking for now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go back to it.
Well, here's why. Most successful people, I talk about this in the book, most successful people operate now currently out of their imagination and their vision, not their history and memory. And that's a formula for bliss. Like you're now, it is hard because like you are building a beautiful family that you have dreams for and visions for, and you have a career that you have a vision and a dream for. And so it isn't easy when you operate out of those creative places to go back and go, okay, here's what it was. It's painful. It's like, and to us, it becomes routine. Yet my vision and your dream for your show or your career serves like 3 people today.
Right.
Right. So in this sense,
right.
having history and memory is what serves people. In our own lives, and this is such a huge distinction, I don't spend almost any of my normal life, do you, thinking about history and memory. When I'm in therapy, I do, but my day-to-day is what's my vision for the show? What's my vision for my business? What's my vision for the book? What's my vision for my dreams, where I want to go, what we want to do with our kids and our family? That's where I spend my time. But in order to serve people, I work out of my history and memory from time to time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. You and Tom aren't sitting around every single day talking about when you were 9 years old.
No.
It comes up. But you spend probably most of your time, what are we doing with the kids? What do we have for the show? Where are we going to do this? Where are you touring? What's the new thing we're going to create?
Of course.
Right?
That's so good.
But that's an of course for me and you.
Yeah.
But I think oftentimes when people get too much into self-help, they think this is where you live. And this isn't where I live every single day. Maybe this should be in the beginning of the show, frankly, because it's an important lesson, right? Yeah. And that's probably why you're tired of talking about it, because you don't spend your time there.
Yes, because there's a time and a place,
right,
to regress and to feel and to get sad and to cry about your childhood. And then that's why therapy's only 50 minutes, not even a full hour. Right. And your shrink is like, all right, bitch, get back out in the world.
Go do it.
Yeah, stop crying and go get after it. Yes, and I agree. I think there's a time for feeling. And I think we're in a lovely era that celebrates feelings and introspection. However, let's get on with it now.
Right. Let's get on with living.
Let's get resilient again, too. Yeah. Let's get a little kick in the pants. Come on, kiddos. Enough crying, right?
Yeah.
A little tough love is okay, too.
Yeah, because the truth is you got where you are because you've just worked your ass off at it.
Yeah, dog.
Right? Yeah.
And like, you know what makes me crazy, too, is everybody's like, oh, I'm being, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word. Discriminated against. And everybody's so hateful now and this and that. And you're like, oh, no, society's great now. 20 years ago when I started stand-up comedy, do you think anybody wanted to hear a girl tell jokes? Hell to the no. And do you know how many people told me I would never succeed? How many club owners told me I wouldn't succeed? There's an entire chain of clubs in Canada that wouldn't book me because the owner says, quote, I don't book women.
Whoa.
That's how crazy it was.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I also feel like anybody listening to this, like, you're capable of whatever the hell it is. If you're obsessed, go, dude, go. Don't listen to everybody. You're not victimized. I don't believe in this victim.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because like, we're talking about it's 50-50. I was gonna say most of my favorite comedians are women now. That's not true. It's about 50-50. But I do think about people like Whitney and Nikki Glaser and yourself and Margaret Cho.
I love those.
And what's the tiny little Asian lady who did the stand-up special, pregnant?
Ali Wong, only my BFF. I love her so much.
I think she's unbelievably
She's
funny.
amazing.
Ali Wong is the bomb, right?
I know.
Like I think more and more, I was like, wow, like maybe it's that I'm a little bit older too, but like for me, having an appreciation for like the women's perspective and how funny it was, and like the Milwaukee milkshake and these other things that stand out. Like, let's be honest, I watched a whole bunch of Netflix specials all the time of different comedians I go. I've DM'd one person in my damn life and said, you on my show, which was you. Couple last things. How long did you go in comedy or entertainment in general before you had like a big financial breakthrough? I just want everybody to hear this, because they're sitting there going, hey, I've been an entrepreneur for 2 years and 9 months. And I am still not a millionaire.
I know.
Don't you think like people's time frame of like how quickly it's supposed to happen? Like, hey man, it's been, it's only like 30 months. And I'm like, I thought by now we would be finished.
I know.
How long were you doing from the...
It's a million. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk, obviously. Gary
I know V. Gary. I did a speaking engagement with him Saturday. Yeah, I know Gary.
I love Gary because he's got that Russian dad, He's always like, you got to take, he's always talking. It takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, bro?
Yeah.
It's a marathon.
Yeah,
it's a marathon.
Yeah.
Anything worth doing.
How long was your marathon?
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, so shoot, let's see. I start doing stand-up, I'm 26. I mean, literally probably the Chelsea Lately era. My last day job was 2006.
2006 was a day job.
Meaning I worked
you had to do something else in addition to comedy?
Literally, so I worked at...
Whoa. Really?
Yeah, so I think so. Hold on.
Wow.
That's not even accurate. I bet 2010 is when I become a headliner. So 2010. But by 2000, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. 2009 or 10 is when we first started making money. And I start in I start at 26. So how old am I? I don't know. I can't do math. 20 years ago, I start.
That's insane.
Yeah. Long time to be broke, dude.
Yeah.
Literally, I'd work a day job. Like I'd work 10 hours, 12-hour days, and then go to the clubs. Wow. And that's just to learn how to do stand-up in LA. And then I want to become a feature act. So that you take the leap of faith and you get a crummy job that lets you take off weekends when you can get the work. And now you're featuring in Florida or wherever. So the last job I have, my day job, is like 2010. It's at the Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
I'm featuring from time to time. I'm on Chelsea Lately on the round table, right? Yep. So I get a spot. I was so broke. I had to go to the store and like check out clothes is what I would say from like these nice, like $100 shirt. And I leave a tag on.
Take the tag
I'd
on.
wear it, on Chelsea Lately, return it immediately because I couldn't afford it, and then go work at the Girl Scouts the next day.
Oh my gosh.
So so people would come in and be like, weren't you on Chelsea Lately last night? And I was like, and now I'm working at the Girl Scouts.
That's freaking crazy to me. So you're on the E! Channel on Chelsea's show.
Yeah, as a round table.
With a shirt you're about to return the next day.
Yeah.
And go back to work the
Girl
next day.
Scouts.
And because you spent so long not financially successful, do you worry now it's going to end too soon?
No, because Tommy and I have been very responsible with what we've done with our cash, and like I believe we've invested it wisely. It's accounted for. We've always been. When we had $200, we were always responsible with $200. I
love that.
So, yeah.
I say in every marriage, there's savers and spenders, right?
Yeah.
Your marriage is toast if you're both spenders. You might have a chance if one's a spender and one's a saver.